And the cross season is underway, and straight from the whistle, absolutely full whack. Look at my heart rate going up. It's like a casino machine. It's like ding, 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 absolutely through the roof. Everyone is absolutely nailing it right now. And I actually got a good start, so I was gridded on the front row, so happy with that. It was from results from last year, and I got into the top corner in 4th place, and there were some absolute hitters and big boys in this race. They were powerful. So I was like, just jump on it, get on it, ripped it on the first straight up to the top corner, and Jamie runs a bit wide here, and I was like, I'll sneak past him, and he just squeezes me out there. I had to hit the brakes, and because of that, then Nathan pops past me, and then I jump in to about 5th position now. Now, I burnt some matches on lap 1. I burnt some matches, I made some mistakes, and the biggest mistakes was because I wasn't used to slick tyres on the cyclocross bike, and my handling skills were awful today, absolutely awful. And here is the first mistake. Coming into this mound, I had an absolute nightmare. And if you're wondering why there was a bit of a hold up on the first lap, that was because I didn't get up the mound and my fat arse was blocking everyone behind me. But look at this gap that opens up straight away. You make one mistake. Now, this gap in a road race on the road wouldn't be that difficult to shut down. In cyclocross, when everyone is going full gas and on grass, that is a tough gap to shut down. And I decided just to rip it, burn a match, and try and get back into this front group. I came around that corner, you saw I took it wide, the tyres skidded out again there, and I'm just thinking now, I've got to get back on that group, but I learnt a big lesson from this. In trying to get back on that front group, I absolutely sold my soul. And what I should have done when I made that mistake, I should have accepted it and just settled into a better pace that was more sustainable for the whole race. Instead, I was a complete numpty, and I just decided to pull the pin and try and get back on that group. So you can see there's 3 just in front of us. I've managed to get back onto Jamie, and I get onto him here, and then I come into this next corner and I slide away again. I was just trying to put the power down. Just there, I like back wheel slides out. I was trying to put the power down too early. I was like an excited little kid on the first cross race of the season, just giving it absolute ponies. I tried to go past him here. I didn't have the legs, so I sat back in, but I could see those 3 ahead, some strong lads, and I was like, one little dig up here and I can get onto it. So I've absolutely killed myself, but this was probably my last match right there to get back on. And what happens? I just lost confidence in my cornering on the slick tyres, and straight away round these little corners they dropped me again. My bike handling skills were terrible. I don't know if I was just a bit rusty from the first cross race of the season, haven't been on the cross bike, haven't done a lot of off-road riding, and look, they've dropped me already. I get on, I put myself in a great position. I've burnt like 2 or 3 matches there to get back on that group, and they are going fast, and then I'm getting dropped because I couldn't get around the corners. Take your stabilisers off, son. What are you playing at? And then just here I was like, this could be it, this could be game over. And Jamie comes back past, and I'm like, jump on his wheel and see if he'll tow you back on. But I was in a dark place right now. And then I think it's Oscar in the blue kit comes round, and he bridges onto the front guys. So I'm sitting in about 6th position, I think now. There's 5 guys up ahead of me, maybe 6. I think I'm about 6th position. And at this point here, I knew I had gone way too deep. I was in the hurt locker, and I was thinking, you absolute numpty, you shouldn't have shut down them gaps. But it's lessons learned. Like, I'm just all or nothing when I race. I pull the pin, I go for it, I hang on for dear life, and I try and survive the race. And one thing I learned is you've got to have the full package on race day. These boys are strong. If you're not cornering well, you're not descending well. My dad always says 30 corners, a second a corner, that's 30 seconds lost. If you're losing 30 seconds alone on the corners, that's absolutely game over. But you can see here, this is the little dismount section. So I'm playing the full lap 1. You can see the wife up there on the corner. So you can see now they are well and truly away from me. I'm in absolute no man's land. I've dropped back, and I know I do not have the berries, ponies, whatever you want to call it, to bridge back onto them now, because they are just moving way too fast for me. You can see they're already up at the top corner on the climb, and I knew it was game over, and it was gonna be just like trying to survive now. And I mean, we're 5 minutes in and I'm talking about surviving an hour cross race, but it was about trying to get into a good rhythm and a good speed where I was going to be able to get through this race. But just here, I think I get overtaken by Josh Jones, and I'm thinking he's a strong boy, so I'm like, jump on his wheel, and he will tow you back on. And he did do that. He was shifting, right? So I'm on his wheel coming round here, and then watch this, just I lost all confidence going downhill. It was terrible. If the old man had seen this, he'd have been going absolutely nuts. Look at that gap that I'm letting open. I just lost confidence. I wasn't used to the slicks. Dad was shouting at me from the pits because he could see me cornering terribly, sliding out on corners. He was like, you got to bike change. I was like thinking, no, I don't want to change. I just want to get it done. And I think where the course was so bumpy as well, I was worried about dropping chains, stuff like that. Absolute nightmare. But it's lessons learned. I need to practice on the slicks. I need to work on my cyclocross skills. But we're coming into we're on lap 2 now, and you can see just up ahead in the distance, that is Nathan now. I think he was sitting in about 6th position. So I had a little carrot dangling in front of me, and I was like, come on, just put the work in, shut down that gap. And I did shut it down, but as soon as I got to this top corner, what I didn't realise is the lads behind me were shutting it down as well. So just here, I'm going down like a granny, and Fletcher comes straight past me on the left there. And look how slow I'm going. It's pathetic. He's come past me and he started to gap me already. It's just lucky that he got this awfully wrong. You can't park there, mate. Don't know where he's going. So I snuck back past, but I could not descend. And this part of the course, the big descent down to the bottom, was just your chance. You can see there, that was Nathan that I was trying to chase down. That descent was your time to recover. But because I was getting dropped, because I had no ability to go down a hill, it was an absolute nightmare. But I worked my absolute backside off for the next 10 minutes or so, and I managed to bridge back onto Nathan, and I was like, here we go, get into a rhythm now. And we just tussled with each other for a couple of laps. But you'll see here, I got onto him at the top of the climb, instantly dropped, instantly dispatched on this downhill. I think with a few more races, it's going to all come together nicely. I felt like I was strong on the climbs, like I was shutting gaps, and just here I thought, this time I'm going to go straight past Nathan, because I need to get my fat backside in front of him to block him on these corners. Because if he was in front on any of the technical bits, any of the downhills, it wasn't technical at all. It was bone dry fast. Look, you can see how quickly he's just moving faster than me downhill, and you can't afford to do that. That's your time to recover on this descent, and I'm getting dispatched. Shocking racing. But it will all come together with a bit more practice, I'm sure. Well, I hope it does anyway. Otherwise, I'm just going to be burning matches left, right and centre. But we basically tussled for like a good 30 minutes, me and Nathan. And I went past him there because I wanted to be first into this log jump, just so that you just have that little bit more confidence. Then he would go back past me, I'll go back past him. And it was like that for what we're 28 minutes into the race. And it was just here I thought, oh God, he's starting to gap me up this climb, and I'm thinking, God, just put one little dig in here, go past him, because I need to be in front of him for the next little technical section. I was absolutely just burying myself to get in front. Then he comes back past me, and that's the story of the race for a good half an hour. But as soon as we got to the top, look what happens. I've got my stabilisers on. Dad would be going nuts right now. Look at that gap he's opened up on me. It's absolutely Shocking. And in all this time where me and Nathan were battling it out and he kept dropping me, I kept getting back on, what I didn't realise is Paul Morris was hunting me down. And just here, he comes past me like a steam train. And I didn't realise at first. I was like, oh God, I've got to jump on that. And I jumped on it straight away. But guess what's about to happen? We're coming into some corners. I've got my stabilisers on and I'm out the back, been dropped. I'm not sure whether I'm going to race with slicks again. I don't know, maybe it's just I've got to get used to them. But look, I got dropped already, and Paul Morris was riding strong race. He was powerful on these draggy sections and he dispatched me. But just here you can see then he closed the gap to Nathan. That doesn't look like much of a gap, but I am absolutely working my backside off here. Heart rate's at 181 and I'm like, I have got to close that gap to them. But I didn't manage to do it. And then coming back down the descent, they were gapping me again. Absolute shocking. But you can see this descent is nice and fast. I've tried to get the speed matched up as best I can. I think it might be a little bit out. But we're about 40 minutes in now. And you can see on the right, Nathan and Paul just went past. So that's the good thing about this course. And in all cross courses, you can see each other as you're turning and you're just trying to hunt each other down lap by lap. And just here was where I was like, I've got to get back on Nathan. Paul had put a massive dig in. He was gone now. But I managed to bridge back to Nathan here. And this was a big effort, a big effort to get on. But what happens again when we get to the top, I should have gone straight past him when I got on to block him on this descent. Because look at that. Gap's gone. You can't afford to do this in cross because you've only got so many matches to burn. I burnt in 99% of them on the first lap, but I did manage to get back onto him. And then I was like, straight away, the plan now is, Dad was shouting at me at the pits. He was like, you've just got to go past, bury yourself to the end now. We've got 15 minutes. You could see Paul on the left there. I went past, I got my head down and I was just like, just make it hurt. Bury yourself to the end now. That 30 minutes where we were battling it out was the hardest point of the race for me. It was like I'd gone too deep at the start. I was then trying to recover and I was not recovering. I didn't have the skills. But just on the right you can see Paul now. So we had 2 laps to go at this point and I was starting to feel good again. I always get this end of a cross race, I start to feel good again, because you know that pain is going to be over if you put in a couple of last little digs. So just up here you can see him, he's on the top corner and I'm starting to shut it down. I'm thinking there's a good chance to move up here. I'm sitting in 7th place. The front of the race, they are fully gone. They were strong boys. Race was over. Like, we weren't even in the same race as them, I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't manage to shut it down to Paul. On the descent, he pulled away from me again. So I know what I need to work on, cornering. I'm hoping when it gets a bit muddy, I'll get a bit better again. But you can see him just there on the left. And at this point, I knew it was just game over for me. So I'll jump to the final little corner. He's at the top. I'm still hunting him down, even though I cannot close that gap. I just wanted to get to the line to stop and get a drink. But what an absolutely brutal course. Killer from start to finish. I have got a lot to work on. Bike handling, pathetic. Downhill skills, absolutely pathetic. But I know what I've got to work on. I think just more time on the cyclocross bike and a little bit more practicing the skills, cornering and stuff. It's all going to come together. Last year I'd done a lot of mountain biking before going into the cross season, so I think my bike handling skills were there a little bit more. This year it's been all about the road and I haven't practiced it enough, hence why I went into a bloody tree last week, because my bike handling skills weren't there, and you just can't afford to be letting gaps like that go. But I hope this gives you a good feel of what racing in the Wessex League is like. It is just full send for an hour. Absolutely love it. It's mega having the onboard camera, getting to watch it back, seeing where I was an absolute numpty, working my backside off to bridge back on and stuff like that. Hopefully when it gets a little bit muddy, it's going to get a little bit more interesting. You'll be able to see what cross is really about, like the cornering and struggling through the mud. At the moment, it's bone dry and you're getting your bones rattled out of you going down these descents and that. But I've got some work to do. It's a good start to the season. I can't be disappointed with 7th. I'd have liked to have been a bit closer to the front boys, but they were much stronger on the day, and the way I was going round the corners and down the hills was just not good enough. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.